Dante Thomas, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Machine Heads. How you doing today, man?
Good, good. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, let's hop right into this. We're going to be talking skid steers today, and I always like to start these things off just kind of discussing just kind of general overall market and demand for whatever category that we're talking about. Obviously, over the years, the kind of head-to-head competition for skid steers in a lot of ways has really been the compact track loader, and then over the last like 10 years or so, the CTL skid steer was on top for the longest time, and then customers started kind of migrating more toward the CTL, and it's on top in a big way now. But what does demand for skid steers look like in 2025? Interesting to get Caterpillar's perspective on that, and how does that demand now compare to the CTL?
I'd say that the demand for the skid steer loaders continues to be strong. If we look at what's happened over the past 10 years or so, there has been a slow uptick year over year for that, especially in the past 5 years. It seemed that compact track loaders were going to take off and see no bound and no stop. While it continues to grow, we are seeing a resurgence of sales and interest and opportunity in the skid steer loader space as well. To us, that certainly shows a lot of confidence in the consumers and the buyers and those that are owning the machines and businesses that have confidence. There's a lot of work to do.
Yeah, absolutely. With that kind of in mind, I mean, what do you guys kind of attribute maybe some of this resurgence that you're seeing when it comes to interest in the skid steer? What do you is it just that increased workload and just kind of like the fact that there's just some applications where the skid steer is still going to make sense no matter what, or what do you kind of attribute that to?
I think, Wayne, to both things that you said, just the construction industry continues to grow. There is continued migration of business into the versatile skid steer loaders and compact track loaders as well, and you continue to see that. We also would believe that skid steer loaders continue to be a complementary piece of equipment to other segments in larger places. Think paving. If you have a paver or a screed, you may also have a skid steer loader. If you're doing a lot of heavy construction or industrial work and the work has already been completed in terms of having a flat and hard surface, you can then bring a skid steer loader out there as well. So just with those two examples, just continues to show that in whether it's in paving or road construction or any type of industrial work, there's always a need to continue to have a skid steer loader in that space.
Yeah, and with that in mind, I'd love to hear you kind of break down kind of how you see really the where that line of delineation is, or the when you should really still choose today the skid steer loader over the CTL. Obviously, the CTL, the tracks are just super versatile, but where are those situations where the added speed or the kind of like some of the other kind of benefits of the skid steer really are going to be a better fit for those specific applications?
Sure. So the first thing would be use what you have. If you already have a skid steer or a compact track loader, they're able to do 80 to 90% of the same type of work. When you do have a choice and you're trying to get really specialized into those areas, you've hit it right off that with tires allow you to work very well on smooth surfaces or hard packed surfaces. And especially when it comes to speed and distance, your skid steer loader is going to win more times than not as you're trying to move material or work across long distances. So that's still going to be the popular part of a skid steer loader. And as you have to work on a large site or move from site to site, the skid steer loader is going to give you the advantage of transportation and speed to get to that destination faster as you're moving material or transitioning from job site to job site.
In terms of the platform itself on skid steers, obviously the skid steer as a platform, you can go from manufacturer to manufacturer and kind of see, but like, as changes are kind of matriculate through the compact loader platform, they tend to kind of like the cabs and new features and stuff like that. They tend to be pretty close between kind of like a skid steer and then its kind of like counterpart on the CTL side. But give us an idea of how the skid steer as a machine or as a machine category has evolved over the last 10 years and how the latest models are really better than some of those older. There's a lot of guys out there still probably running a 10-year-old skid steer, 15-year-old skid steer. If they're in the market for a new skid steer, give them an idea of kind of what's changed in the last 10 years and how these newer models are better.
Sure. Let's go back to one of the earlier things you said, which is a really insightful comment, the differences between the cabs. Typically, with many manufacturers, you're going to find the same cab between a skid steer loader or compact track loader, and then the base The undercarriage and some other parts are going to be a little bit different, but there's going to be a lot of commonality between the two, between a skid steer loader or a compact track loader. Some of the things that you'll find, wow, from 10 years ago, I think I was probably on an iPhone 2. Not sure
Yeah,
which one
right.
was
Yeah.
out at the time, but you just think about how phone technology has evolved, or the thickness of the television screen that you may have at home today. I remember as a child that it was wider than my body, and
Oh
now
yeah.
it's almost the thickness of the phone. Construction equipment, especially in compact track loaders and skid steer space, have made those type of improvements as well. All manufacturers may not make 10 years of improvements, but every 2, 3, or 5 or 6 years, you're going to see a leapfrog in the jumps, and construction equipment is going to pick up and to adopt a lot of the improvements that are just happening in the industry in general. One of those areas is going to be in power management, and with the emissions requirements for the EPA, many of them are now requiring an electronic engine to help manage the amount of particulates that go into the air for emissions. And that also leads to manufacturers being able to manage the power of the machine better, particularly for Caterpillar and many other manufacturers using a electrohydrostatic implements or EH transmission that allows a little bit more power management, that you can borrow and put a little bit in one place when you need it, take it away and put it in another place there. That can lead to better productivity and better performance in those different areas. As customers continue to want to do more with the machines, manufacturers have been able to make the structures do more, make them a little bit bigger, make them run a little bit faster to be able to do a little bit more. And then the third thing, kind of to start out where you finished it with the cab, is how do you make the operator, the owner, the person inside the cab as comfortable as possible, and to give the best visibility possible, that when operating the machine as the office, you're able to get the best view and to know what needs to be done at that particular job site in that particular situation.
What are the sort of things that, or maybe the ways that customer demand has changed over these last 10 or so years? What customer trends of work or customer needs specifically and demands, maybe out of that technology and some of the other things? What are those customer trends and needs that are shaping, how you guys are developing skid steers, not just today, but kind of what you're thinking about putting in machines kind of moving forward?
Sure, customers want more information and the ability to adjust certain features. We've brought that to the forefront. Same thing that may be on smartphones and other places. What choices do you have to customize the machine to the experience that you want? I may want a little bit more aggressive lift arm control. I may want a little bit more aggressive or lighter high stack control, direction control, just based on the work that I'm trying to do. Customer trends have also led us to increase the amount of machines that they can lift, as well as how high we can lift them as well. With the new Traxel trucks and greedy boards on the side, to be able to put as much material into the truck as possible, machines have to grow in order to help meet those requirements. Skid steer loaders are great hydraulic power plants to run attachments, as we all know. And being able to put more hydraulic power from the machine to the attachment has also led to increases in standard hydraulic pressure. Many manufacturers have moved from the previous 3,000 or 3,300 psi up to 3,500 psi, and then high flow or high flow XPS, or adding additional flow and additional pressure to be able to do more work, has also been a trend that we have seen, that we've moved forward with, and that other manufacturers of skid steer loaders have also increased their flow and pressure to provide better attachment functionality for the users.
So let's talk a little bit about the specific Caterpillar lineup. You guys have a wide variety of machines. Even it's got to be one of the, if not the largest, kind of lineup of available skid steer models on the market today. Take us through the Caterpillar lineup of skid steers, and kind of along the way point out, what are the most popular models and why.
Sure. We recently, over the past, let's say, 18 months, have been introducing a new series of skid steer loaders and compact track loaders that within the Caterpillar groupings have been part of our next generation. Wayne, as you ask also, what trends have been moving within the industry? We have also received from Caterpillar the desire for consistency, the desire for similar features to migrate down or to migrate across. So we hope that with these next generation compact track loaders and skid steer loaders, you'll see a more consistent, common look and feel across our smaller products, compact wheel loaders, small wheel loaders, mini hydraulic excavators, backhoes, and telescopic handlers, and other small tractor tractors, but then also to see that connection even up to our larger track type tractors and our big dozers and our bigger wheel loaders, just for a common look and feel with the display, with joysticks, with seating, with visibility, and just the way that things interact. So we've recently introduced four new models, a 250, 260, 270, 270XE. We've tried to simplify our nomenclature to say if it ends in a zero, it's a skid steer loader. And what we've done with those four models, we have increased the rated operating capacity, we've increased our lift height, we've increased our torque in response to customers wanting to be able to do more. People work longer in the day, people have to have more things to do in a short time, and when you're at a particular job site or in a particular task, how can you accomplish that work faster? So with those four models, we've made improvements in those spaces, and just consistently the 262 or 260, which is the 3,000 to 3,500 pound lifting, about 50% rated operating capacity, continues to be one of our best selling models within the skid steer loader space. So that's for our big size. And then in our smaller space, we still maintain three smaller machines that have rated operating capacity between 1,500 and 2,000 pound rated operating capacity. They still maintain our prior, or just still current, but our D3 style of a sealed and pressurized cab, seat mounted controls, joysticks with buttons to be able to do the work, to keep your hands on, that you can look and see the work that needs to be done. And we, out of those machines, probably our 236, close to 18 to 1900 pounds rate operating capacity, is the most popular in that size as well.
So for customers, kind of, I guess, looking at the current kind of lineup and everything, and trying to decide, I guess, how to move forward. Obviously, on the newer machines, these the kind of like with the updated nomenclature, it's just the model number, and like you said, ends in a zero. It's a skid steer, so that would be like the 250 is really the smallest machine. But on the D3 side of things, you've got, like you said, the 226, the 232, the 236, and those are a little bit smaller machines. Do you guys plan on continuing to add, new machines to that new nomenclature system, and so these smaller D3s will get replaced, or over time, or kind of like, I guess, if customers are looking for some of those smaller machines, is that coming soon? Or, I mean, obviously we're not going to talk about like what's coming in the future, but like, it seems like that's the best option right now, though, is to do either 226, 232, 236 kind of D3.
Yeah, sure. So in the future, we will migrate over even those existing models, the 226, 232, 236, to a zero format that's
Okay.
coming out in the future. First step is we want to try to introduce the best next generation skid steer loaders that we can. We wanted to introduce the new nomenclature from a simplification standpoint and really focus on the next generation value story of more power that we've added, the additional performance, and then a brand new cab with new comfort features, and then we'll make the change for the lower machines. We won't change the design of those in this next phase or update, but we will change the nomenclature.
Cool. Yeah, the simpler nomenclature is great. You guys have done. I mean, this has been within Caterpillar. I know it's been going on for the last 10 years or so, trying to kind of really get that nomenclature down across the entire machine lineup, kind of more focused. And this is definitely simplifies the lineup. One final question that I had for you on the lineup: could you give us a brief overview of kind of what the differences are between the 270 and the 270 XE? What does that XE nomenclature kind of indicate?
Of course, within Caterpillar, the XE descriptor brings about the best technology that's available in that particular model and lineup, and we follow a similar path for that. One of the best differentiators that we have for that 270 XE, as it goes back to attachment usage, XE for us brings 40 gallons per minute of hydraulic flow to the auxiliary, to the attachment. And then we've also increased our hydraulic pressure to the auxiliary circuit from 4,061 psi up to 4,495, 4,496. So think 4,500 psi of pressure for those particular tools, which allows us to bring the best productivity and the best performance that we can for attachments like snow blowers, coal planers, wheel saws, and even land management tools if you want to put them in a land management application to be able to work faster and more efficient and sending more hydraulic power to the attachment in order to do more work. With our XC as well, we bring a heated and ventilated seat. We have our touchscreen display. We have our joysticks with additional buttons that are dedicated for attachment control. We've also moved our radio to the front, which has been a long time request by customers, and then also touchscreen display and just additional features to keep the focus forward with creep control, mute buttons that you don't have to push as many buttons up top. You can do it on your joysticks to be able to manage the work site.
You know, you were talking earlier about, and especially with the 270, one of the big, the big things going up to the 40 psi in terms of the flow. But like with the skid steers, I'm kind of curious to hear from you guys, like what are kind of like some of the more popular attachments? Obviously, like attachments and the tool carrier capability has really just, it's not just on the skid steer and the CTL, but like just compact equipment in general has just kind of exploded in the last several years just due to this added tool carrier capability. What are some of the most popular attachments that you guys see paired with a skid steer in general?
Certainly buckets and forks are going to be the number one and number two. That doesn't seem that those are ever going to leave the throne in that space. We do also see out of bucket sales, multi-purpose buckets are very popular with skid steer loaders. It gives you the combination of called 4-in-1 buckets, as many people know, and different uses to be able to use it as a grapple or to be able to use it as a dustpan to grab material or to be able to truck load or to reach difficult places and bring things back. So those continue to be very popular. Buckets, forks, multi-purpose bucket. Within the segment space, we are very proud of the work that customers using Caterpillar machines for paving or road repair, for coal planers, wheel saws, and the different types of brooms that are available in order to help continue to build the infrastructure and to maintain the infrastructure of America. Those have been very popular in that space. Another segment would be grapple buckets, grapple rakes, as we think about hammers when it relates to demolition, recycling, waste management, machines that are there at transfer stations or intermediate stages of preparing material to go into balers or sorting material. We find our machines in those places as well, and the attachments that go with them also.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a lot of the kind of the road maintenance type thing. It just seems like that's the perfect place for these things to shine, and like the idea of like coal planers. And I've talked to some customers who pretty much keep a coal planer on their skid steer, 24/7. Just kind of wild to see how it's changed the way people use these machines.
It is, and just depending on where we live in the United States, for any of these segments, anytime you have snow, you can take off the bucket that was on there and either use a bucket to remove snow or to use a snow push or a snow plow. That really makes it a versatile machine that you can get use out of it 12 months out of the year.
Absolutely. I kind of bringing everything that we've kind of talked about to the fore and into focus here. With all of this in mind, when it comes to, let's say, a customer's in the market for a new skid steer, and specifically investing in the right skid steer for their need, what kind of approach do you kind of suggest customers take, or what sort of considerations should they make, or features should they really be paying attention to whenever they're investing in a new skid steer?
Sure. As I think about considerations, it ties back to the job, what business that you're in, what type of attachments, work. We often talk about task, tool, machine. What are the things that need to be done, and really to work your way backwards to make sure that a machine is going to be matched. And I love the way that you use the word investment, Wayne, because investment to me speaks of making more money or planting a seed and having growth with it versus buying as something for immediate use. That as you're thinking about an investment, think about, is there something or feature or machine size that you would get that would help you grow into the future to allow you to grow into more business. Some start out cutting grass and you move into your first skid steer and you continue to grow. That you look at a skid steer, I may start out in paving, but I may also move into snow. I may start out in paving, I may move into grading. And are those features available that give me the ability to do that work as well? So
Yeah.
as you look at that space, what are some things you want to look for? Make sure that if you're going to be in the machine all day, that you have a cab that you're comfortable with. That if you're going to sit in the machine for 15 minutes or for 8 hours, you certainly want to have a machine that gives you the comfort that when you're finished, from your day's work in the office, that you have energy and you're able to move forward. Or if you have operators or employees on your team that are running those machines, it's sometimes hard to retain operators because they're going to go from place to place. Having a really comfortable cab can be a great deterrent of leaving and a great encouragement to bring people in. We talked about the XE machine and your insight into hydraulic horsepower. Make sure you've got the right amount of flow and pressure to run the attachments to be able to give you the maximum efficiency of the fuel that you're burning in order to accomplish that particular job. And I'd say the other thing too, if you're working on truck loading or you're working on pushing material, make sure you have the right lift height and the engine requirements needed in order to do that. And then I'd add one more thing that's not necessarily machine related, but it's relationship based. As an investment, there's an investment with the salesman or the dealership that you partner with. As you look at an investment, all equipment manufacturers are interested in the growth of the customer, and different dealerships, Caterpillar dealerships as well, want to see you grow, and having that relationship that if a machine goes down, who can help you in that moment if and when something does happen, or you need aftermarket parts, you need wear parts, you can put kits on things. So it's just as important of having that right relationship with the salesman and the dealership as it is in choosing the right machine.
Just fantastic advice, Dante, especially the bit on future proofing and definitely kind of forging those relationships with your dealer, because that's what they're there for, to help you troubleshoot and kind of figure out what makes the most sense. Well, that's all the questions that I had for you, man. But like, I want to give you the final word here to just fill us in on anything we didn't talk about or anything else you want to leave the listeners with, and also give them an idea of if they want more information, kind of some next steps that they can take on kind of investigating an investment in a Caterpillar skid steer.
Sure, I'd say just for the industry, this is one of the most exciting times to be in the skid steer loader and compact track loader industry. Not only with the changes that Caterpillar is making, but as I look at our peers in the skid steer loader and compact track loader industry, you see innovation in a lot of different places in a lot of different ways. There are continued focus on operator safety and bystander safety. So whether it's cat command or different things that are being available, you can buy as an aftermarket or third party to help make your machine safer and usable, to be able to watch out for those people that are around. And you're going to continue to see those trends in the industry to help make the skid steer loader and compact track loader one of the best operating machines that are possible. There are more attachments that are coming out in order to do different types of jobs, and just really excited about what we're doing at Caterpillar to help meet the needs. And we want to continue to listen to customers to be able to find out what the best solutions are that we can help to develop those. If anyone would like to learn more information, cat.com is a great place to go get more information about the Caterpillar skid steers and compact track loaders that we offer, as well as reach out to the local cat dealer. Building a relationship is a great place to start, and our dealers will come back and reach out to build that relationship and help to learn more about the needs that you may have to help get going and do more.
Dante Thomas, man, thank you so much again for hopping on Machine Heads and taking us through the Caterpillar skid steer lineup, and for just the awesome insight into kind of like how to approach making this investment in a new machine, man. Thank you so much. We should do it again sometime. Good luck to you out there, and stay safe, buddy.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you very much.